as I was walking into the water, very similar to how you're showing in your video, I'm like, dude, the only reason that we're carrying this weight is really because the tank itself, the shell, the metal, needs to contain a lot of energy. If you put scuba aside for a second and you take a different perspective, what you have is a pressure vessel on your back. Some would say a bomb, but it's a pressure vessel that contains a lot of energy. That's why it needs to be so robust. But we're advanced now. It's the 21st century, and we know how to deal with a lot of energy like that. And it can be contained in far lighter equipment because firefighters don't carry scuba tanks on their back, and special units don't, and paintball kids who run around definitely don't. So we know how to carry gases on our back. Um, but it doesn't work in scuba because they're too light. They provide the same buoyancy. They have a certain displacement. They're too light. So if you just go buy a carbon fiber tank, you just need to add more weight and you get to the same effect. You need to sink the tank itself. And I'm like, it would be really nice if I had a tank that would be very light, will float me on the surface when I go in. But then when I'm ready to dive, I just want to take the tank and like make it smaller. I just forget the wing and a BC and whatever. I just want to make the tank smaller. So throughout the dive, I was thinking, well, it would be interesting to have a tank. I wonder if the tank would just compress somehow. Well, that's going to work. What about a piston? You know, like a tank that has some sort of a piston inside. And after that, it was like, wait, accumulators. Accumulators that are shock absorbers, those are perfectly suitable for what you need because they have a shell that you can make as light as you'd like, and they have an inner bladder that can serve as the actual, um, you know, the gas container. And all you need to do, you need a tank that can shrink while you dive, because the whole game here is that you know, you carry about 3 kilograms or 6 pounds of gas on your back into the water, but you're going to get rid of it because you're going to breathe it. So it's going to become lighter. Well, if you're going to become lighter, you need to take weight in advance to compensate for that. So you end up carrying the 6 pounds of gas plus another at least 6 pounds of mass, lead weight at the very minimum to get that. Well, it means that you have to start the dive too heavy, so you add a balloon. The whole philosophy of scuba kind of unraveled. And you're like, wait, if I can just go without this, all I need to do is to replace the amount of gas that I'm breathing with the amount of water that I can pump into that accumulator. So while not all of it, you know, congealed in my head through the dive, much of it did. Like when I didn't even pay attention to the dive. When I got out of the water, it was like in the outdoor shower as I was rinsing the gear that I'm like, wait, the pressure is going to go up, but it's not going to go up as much. I need an Excel sheet. I need to calculate this. This is, you know, this is more than an idea. So that's how it was born. It was born from the amount of weight or reducing weight. Um, it didn't take very long for the physics to like check out that really this should work. Because if you mimic a dive profile, and you say, okay, I just replace for every gram of air that I consume, I need a milliliter of water that will be in the tank to replace it. And then from there, it was like, yeah, we can definitely get this to work. So at that point, it was like, okay, should it be electric or pneumatic? Should it be, should we just convert the regulator to be a mechanical device that every time that you breathe, it pumps water into the tank, like a pneumatic pump? You don't even need electricity. So there were several ideas. So that followed by development efforts in both directions. Um, but that's how it was born. And it was
Wow.
tested. What's funny. You know how you said before when Dan Orr came in and said, I'm going to test it. Uh, and for you to, and anybody that we hear that decided they're going to test it, listen, for 3 years, we dove with zip ties and duct tape stuff that was never intended for that use. All the testing in the world, like this was, this went through trials and error with, in things that barely worked. And the dive experience was still better than a fully functional working BCD. So yeah,
It's a lot more comfortable too because you don't have all the cumbersome stuff on you. You basically just got a harness and a back plate, which is awesome.
and if you needed to carry other stuff, then you attach it like you attach stuff today. The harness is somewhat similar to a harness today, just it's streamlined. It allows you to start from a very streamlined approach, which I think that's also what you felt underwater in your video, that you don't
Yeah.
have another sail that causes drag. Um, yeah, the consequence of diving with just a tank with a very minimalistic system is that you feel a lot of things underwater. And we talked a lot about the weight. How was your diving experience itself?
It was those were the best dives I've had since I started diving again, even though they were in a quarry. I
You know,
mean, I actually got to enjoy the dive more.
it, it we get it all the time. We get it all the time. Those people will go in and they dive, on sites that have sand because they focus on the flying sensation, on the flying underwater, um,
Yeah.
which is very cool because the so that wasn't known when the system was invented. It was invented to reduce weight. It was the first dive, literally the first dive underwater with a prototype um, that obviously failed in a few minutes. You know, it like even then the diving sensation itself was like for those that were in it, we got out of the water and we're like, this is a game changer. This feels fantastically better as from a diving experience. This is so much more stable. It's not even funny.
Oh yeah. I mean, the best thing I like about it is that I actually get to enjoy the dive and I don't have to worry so much about all the other stuff I normally have to look at with regular scuba. It is much more enjoyable. And in fact, we did a shared air, an out of air ascent on it. And let me tell you, that's the easiest shared air I've ever done.
Yeah, 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 yeah. We teach rescue on it and all that. It's funny. I'll take you somewhere else with this. Now that you dove it and you actually experience it, when you think about, I'm sure that people asked you, just friends and family and you know acquaintance, and they ask you, okay, divers, people who you dive and respect, and you
Yep.
talk to them. It is so much different than the difference in sensation of diving is so different that the biggest hurdle with a velo is to explain that. It's just because it's unbelievable in the
Yep.
in the you know you're like
Yeah, it
it can't
is.
be
I
that good.
mean,
I've been like Dan Orr. You've been diving for 50 years. You're not gonna change Dan Orr's experience until you do.
no, and even with Dan telling me that, I'm like, okay, there's no way. It can't be this good. It can't be this easy to dive with. It's like, uh-uh.
It's like
I,
yeah,
in
which is
fact,
funny because yeah,
I want to work with disabled people to get them doing scuba therapy and stuff like that. If I was an instructor again, I would only have somebody, especially if they had any type of disability at all, I would only have them on the Avelo system because you can react quicker. The worst thing you have is when a student decides to bolt to the surface on you.
yeah, and it's not that they react quicker, just what we learned through the years of diving it in many different conditions because we had to experiment with the system was developed through COVID and getting parts, and it was all on Maui. So getting parts, we have really fantastic partners and they did everything that they could to get us the gear. But when you think about it, you have 4 units ish that each one of those has different configurations because you're still in development. And obviously, things fail all the time. You're in development,
Yep.
you don't even know what's going to fail on you. It's not like today where you have a certification program and a support system and white glove service. You're on your own and you're in the ocean, and things fail all the time. And when they do, the response time is a half hour. You have a half hour before anything is going to change on you to slowly but surely, you know, tell your body, yeah, we should abort, I guess. Let's go to the safety, you know,
That's true
go.
because you don't even really have to abandon the dive, even if the pump fails on it. You can just continue.
We are a training organization, and of course you need to abort the dive. Um, but yes, no, but and you should no. When gear
Yeah.
fails, you should abort the dive. But it just gives you a far longer mitigation time. And you know how you said one of the worst thing is somebody bolting to the surface. So in a more experienced diver, when that happens, it's even worse because it's unexpected. It's like they don't. It's an outcome of unpractice or coming back into the field and all that. But it can be very stressful, and it's propagating because things change very quickly. For example, weight pocket drops. You can be very intelligent and even somewhat. You can have 100 standard dives, but if you only dive every 2 years on a long vacation, but every 2 years you're doing this liveaboard, 2 weeks of a liveaboard. Yes, you have 100 dives, but a weight pocket that falls requires a quick response. You have to be on top of it before the force propagate. So that's the equivalent. I'm sure you've done it in your class. You know how we have a scale that you drop
Yep.
all the water out of the tank to show you that even then, yeah,
Yeah.
you know, signal abort, and we will slowly ascend to the surface on our own time.
But yes, you
But
should
yeah.
abort the dive if the pump fails.
Oh yeah, you should. But the difference is in an equipment failure, like a BCD inflating on you, and again, unpracticed, you're not quite sure how to disconnect the hose. Everything is training. But at the end of the day, the equipment doesn't decide to abort the dive for you with a velo. You decide to abort the dive. It's a big difference.
Oh yeah. I mean, last year actually, I actually had a very scary experience.